And so because that's a provably false statement. You made a couple others that are provably false. And this is from the mouth of the FBI director.
The only one that made false statements is you.
My final question to you, Mr. Director, is do you know that it is a crime to lie to Congress? Do you know that? That's my last question.
I have not lied to Congress.
I didn't ask you
that. Lied to Congress is you.
Do you? And I'm not testifying here, sir, and I don't lie.
Maybe the next time you run up a $7,000 bar tab, we can talk about it.
Well, see, there you go, lying again. You suggested
in the FEC report. I'll post it right now.
You suggested it was public. It wasn't public money, as you know. That was for a 50-member staff party.
So it was a $7,000 bar tab.
Kash Patel is the director of the FBI. He runs the most powerful domestic law enforcement agency on earth. And when a United States senator asked him a simple yes or no question, do you know it is a crime to lie to Congress? He could not answer it. He talked about a bar tab instead. If you want to see the people in charge of American law enforcement actually held accountable for once, hit subscribe and drop a like, because this is exactly the kind of moment the Trump administration does not want going viral. Watch what happened.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Director Patel, I've been listening carefully to your responses to some of my colleagues, and I want to start with a question that Senator Coons asked you that relates to this article where the headline is Kash Patel's latest firings ousted agents with expertise in Iran. The article says that these individuals were fired for their role in the classified documents investigations of Donald Trump. First of all, is that true?
The article, just like all the other articles you cited, is false, and there's ongoing litigation, so I can't address it.
Okay. You did answer Senator Coons, and I understood your answer to be that the people that were fired, that none of them were part of the group that had Iran expertise. Is that your answer?
No, he asked if they were Iran experts. I said they were not.
Were the group fired? Did it include people who were Iran experts?
No.
Did it include people who were involved in counter-espionage activities with respect to Iran?
I don't have the list in front of me.
So you don't know whether or not you fired people with counter-espionage experience with respect to Iran? You don't know the answer to that question?
I terminated anyone and everyone that weaponized law enforcement.
I see. So it was related, obviously, to the classified documents case. So
that's not what I said.
Well, Director Patel, I understood you to say in response to Senator Murray that you've not redirected FBI resources toward the immigration enforcement effort.
That's not what I said.
Okay. Have you redirected resources away from your core FBI responsibilities toward the mass deportation effort?
No one at the FBI has been permanently reassigned on the immigration front, and when we pull the numbers, the FBI's overall operational field expenditures surged periodically for immigration enforcement activities, including the arrest of 2,000 people with direct ties to foreign terrorist organizations, was 2.4%.
So, okay. So the key word there, I guess, was permanently. You have not permanently reassigned. Is that what you reassigned temporarily?
Surges, yes, sir. Okay.
What you just watched was not a man defending himself. That was a man running out the clock. Kash Patel does not have the list. The FBI director does not have the list of the people he fired. He dismantled a specialized unit targeting Iran, one of the most dangerous state actors threatening American national security, and he cannot tell a Senate committee who was on it or what they knew. That is not bureaucratic oversight. That is willful blindness dressed up as executive authority. And notice what he said when pressed on why they were fired. I terminated anyone and everyone that weaponized law enforcement. That is the answer. Not they were underperforming. Not they violated policy. Anyone and everyone who touched the case against Donald Trump. That is the purge. He said it out loud. Then on immigration, the word was permanently. He has not permanently reassigned agents. He surged them. Surged. As in, the FBI is currently being diverted from counterterrorism and counterintelligence, the jobs Congress funds them to do, and pointed at deportation operations. And Patel calls that 2.4%, as if moving 2.4% of the most elite law enforcement agency in the world toward political objectives is a footnote. It is not a footnote. Watch what comes next.
Have you had a chance to listen to or read about Brian Driscoll's statements about what you said to him and the reasons for his firing?
No, I have not, sir.
So let me just say this, Mr. Director. In your response to me earlier, where you had a little bit of a blow-up, you made a couple provably false statements.
So did you.
No, Mr. Director, I was reading about and asking you to respond to allegations that are made. In fact, I was giving you an opportunity to do that, and you took that opportunity. But in the process, you made these provably false statements that I know are sort of like urban legend in right-wing media about margaritas in El Salvador, which is provably false. And so coming from the mouth of an FBI director to make provably false statements in a hearing like this is extremely troubling. And it leads me to ask whether or not the other things you've been saying are false statements.
Provably false statements. That phrase did not come from a political opponent. It came from a sitting United States senator in a formal hearing, directed at the sitting director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And Patel's response was not a denial backed by evidence. It was a counter-accusation. So did you. That is not a rebuttal. That is a schoolyard deflection from the man who is supposed to run the most consequential investigative agency in the world. Here is what Patel does not want you to connect. Brian Driscoll, the special agent in charge who was fired, has publicly stated that Patel used his firing as a loyalty test. Driscoll had oversight responsibilities tied to January 6 cases. He is gone. The Iran experts are gone. The Mar-a-Lago document investigators are gone. The counterintelligence agents who worked cases touching Trump associates, gone. Patel fired the Iran unit. He fired the January 6 team. He fired the Mar-a-Lago investigators. And he cannot produce the list. The FBI has 35,000 employees and an $11.3 billion annual budget. Congress appropriates that money for specific national security priorities: counterterrorism, counterintelligence, cybersecurity, public corruption. What Patel has done is take that machine, built over decades, staffed by career professionals, and aimed it at the enemies list. Anyone and everyone that weaponized law enforcement. His words. Under James Comey, under Robert Mueller, under Christopher Wray, directors who faced their own political firestorms, none of them stood before a Senate committee and admitted they fired people without knowing who was on the list. None of them. That is not a partisan observation. That is a documentation of how far the standard has fallen. And the margaritas in El Salvador. Let us not breeze past that. Patel told this hearing that detained migrants were sipping margaritas in Salvadoran detention facilities, a claim so demonstrably fabricated that Van Hollen called it urban legend in right-wing media. The FBI director repeated a Facebook meme under oath. George Orwell called this protective stupidity. The willingness to believe and repeat obvious falsehoods because the alternative, acknowledging what is actually happening in those prisons, is politically inconvenient. I terminated anyone and everyone that weaponized law enforcement. He will say it again and again, because repetition is the only answer he has.
Mr. Patel, I'm glad, let me just say in closing, Mr. Chairman, two things. I'm glad that you have agreed to take the test regarding, whether you have alcohol problems. I'm glad you agreed with me to do that. You still haven't answered my final question. Do you know, Mr. Director, that it is a crime to lie to Congress? Do you know that?
I do not lie to Congress.
I didn't ask you that.
And you're insinuating that I am because
I asked you whether you know.
You want to correct your time in this session where you got steamrolled by the facts so you can have a Twitter narrative so you can go raise more money and spend more money on $7,000 bar tabs.
Just let the record
I'm not
show,
going to give
Mr.
it
Chairman.
to you.
The director of the FBI apparently does not want to answer the question about whether or not it's a crime to lie to Congress, and I find that extremely troubling.
I find it troubling that you lie to the American people every day.
You are a disgrace, Mr. Director.
Not nearly as big as you.
The fact that you can't answer that question, that concludes my questioning, Mr. Chairman, but I'm obviously very troubled.
Question for the Director of ATF. Director Sakata, I want to talk just a minute about
He could not answer the question. The director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the man whose agency prosecutes people for exactly this crime, sat in front of the United States Senate and refused to confirm that lying to Congress is illegal. That is not a slip. That is a preview. Kash Patel was not put in that chair because he is the best law enforcement executive in America. He was put there because he wrote a book with a list of names. He went on podcasts and promised retribution. He told Trump what Trump wanted to hear, like that the FBI had been weaponized against him. And Trump handed him the keys. That is the entire transaction. Loyalty for power, performance for access, the institution for the man. Every official Trump has installed operates the same way. They last exactly as long as they are useful and exactly as long as they do not embarrass the wrong person. Patel is already embarrassing the wrong people. He is already dodging questions about firings he cannot explain, surges he cannot justify, and statements he cannot defend. The bar tab will follow him. The margarita lie will follow him. The unanswered question will follow him. Trump discards loyalists the moment the liability outweighs the utility. Patel is not an exception to that pattern. He is the next entry in a very long list. Tell me in the comments. Does the FBI director not knowing whether lying to Congress is a crime concern you? Or is this just Tuesday now?